Well, hello, hello. We got a few people here. Good to see you all. Nice to be here. We have Silver Creek. Tommy's going to be with us this for the duration. He looks like there we go. We have about a 30-second delay between broadcast and YouTube picking up, and that's what you were hearing. So that's gone now. Let's see. Bald and dangerous. Sketty's here. Nano Aquarium guy. Congrats on your award, Nano. Your little nano planted bowl. That sounds. I saw a picture of it. Pretty impressive. You've got some real skill there. We need to learn how to do that. I never learned how to do that. Kristen Hall. Hello, Kristen Hall. She says, Kristen says, I'm new. Yes, you are. We're going to welcome you with a wrench, Kristen. Let's see how quickly YouTube can get it up. Ricky Credible. Howard Van Tassel is here. Let's see. Who else? Da-da-da-da. Silver Creek is going to be with us momentarily. Jeff Little. Christopher NYC. Johnny Trung. Oscar Jungle Tank. Hello, hello. ABC is with us. Aquatic Biotope Creations has been here from the beginning. Nice to have you all here. Randy Coke, Randy Coke. Purge, hey Purge. Erie is here. Erie first. There we go. We're cooking now. All right. Let's let's say let's say hello to Tommy. There he is.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you for having me on, Father
Good,
Fish.
you bet. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Nice to have you with us.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is really, really good being here.
So
Been
you're
looking
in.
forward to this.
Thank you. So you're in. Chris, who's this? Erie says the first Kristen marry me. Welcome. Well, here we go. All right. Moving right along. KS Preeper. Hello, KS Preeper. KS Preeper is new. Let's see if we can get him a wrench. He can do this. Wrenches are
Oh,
coming out pretty quick.
come here.
Who's your buddy there?
The yippy one. Yeah. I got stuck on. I got dog duty during the live stream. Somehow I got suckered into babysitting the puppy too. So if y'all hear loud noises, I promise it's not coming from me.
Goodness sake. Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy. He's a cowboy corgi, a tricolor corgi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What's his name?
about 8 months old, and his name is Chip.
Chip.
Yep, he's a
And you were
he.
telling me a wonderful story about how he came to be in your home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was definitely not planned. Well, he was planned, but not by us. My daughter had been. I guess she picked up some residual salesman energy back from when I used to sell cars. So for 3 years straight, she would make like these little booklets on why she needed a corgi in her life,
Wow.
and all of this. And so we told her, I was like, if you're gonna get a corgi, you're gonna have to pay for this thing yourself. I was like, which means you're gonna have to do a lot of research and figure out what they need, all that good stuff that comes along with it. She did, and she saved up the money for about 2.5 years, from Christmases, birthdays, all of it,
Wow.
and paid for Chip with her own money, and got
Nice.
to hand the lady the money and everything. So
Wow. That's motivation. How old's your daughter?
She's 11,
11.
about to be 12.
Started this when she was 9. Huh?
Yep. Oh
You're
yeah.
not, wow.
Yeah, we've kept a couple of her little sales pamphlets. I mean, they were
Oh,
in
really?
depth for what you would expect from an 8 and 9 year old.
Wow. So what was she selling?
Just the idea of her having a corgi,
Oh,
why,
just,
how it would make her life better, and how it would make everybody's life better, and
wow. Oh, that's fun.
yeah.
That's fun. Fish
So
and
she,
chips. What are you talking about? Here it says. So now we have fish and chips.
yeah, fish and chips. Yeah.
Fish and chips. Yeah, he's a cute puppy, isn't he?
Yeah, he does not
Very
want to be
sweet
in
dog.
here.
Great life lesson. Maureen says a great life lesson. Certainly is, isn't it? Well,
Hmm.
Tommy, you've been, how long you been homesteading?
Um, about 7 years, 6 years, 7 years now.
And you have how many children?
I have three. My
Three.
oldest is about to be a teenager, and my youngest just turned 9.
Uh,
Here, hop down. There you go.
so they're all in that 9 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
My brother and sister and I were close like that. We were all within 3 years of each other.
Oh wow, yeah.
I guess 4 years actually.
That's a good gap.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. We did all right. We kind of all came up together that
Yeah,
way.
our daughters are 18 months apart, so they were
Well,
they were pretty close. And then just a couple years later, we had my son. So we were
um,
changing diapers for many, many years.
yeah, really. So, what got you into homesteading? How did that happen?
Sorry, I'm messaging somebody to come get the dog.
Oh,
That way he doesn't do that in y'all's ear the whole time. He was fine until we started. He was all quiet.
yeah. Until we start
Um,
talking, now he wants to talk too.
I grew up in the country. I grew up on a lot of acres. At a really young age, we had a lot of cattle. They weren't ours; it was our landlords that we had. But it was all like our landlord was a family friend as well. So, so it was just kind of like shared everything out there with all of that. He was a World War II buddy with my
Oh,
grandfather. So
so you're a farm boy.
yeah, yeah, and especially being raised next to one of my grandfather's World War II buddies. They as soon as I was able to start doing stuff, they put me to work.
Ghost of Roque saying, look up Gerald of Rivia, Witcher 3. It looks like you when you were long haired. A lot of people do.
But
Jenny,
I had got into we had moved kinda to the city. It wasn't really the city, but for where I live, I would call it the city, but it's not. Um, and
Urban.
yeah, well, kind of in between. It's like right at the edge, right before you get to the downtown areas, but far enough away that there's still a little bit of traffic noise, but not a lot.
Uh,
Where I am now, somebody's got to really be trying for you to be able to hear them going down the road. So it's
oh,
pretty
really?
quiet. Yeah, it's pretty quiet here.
Nice.
I like it.
Oh. How much land do you have?
Right now, it's only we're on just over 4 acres.
Oh, that's a nice sized lot.
Yeah, I grew
Yeah,
up
I
on
got.
172, so it's a little bit smaller than than
Yeah.
what we were prepared for. But
Well, yeah. I was on 5 acres on the eastern shore of Maryland for about 10, I guess, 10, 15 years,
yeah,
12 years maybe.
oh, I bet that was a lot of fun.
It was. We were right on the water too. We have waterfront property. It has since become the home of millionaires. I sold it and it just started going through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
It was 35 years ago, a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I
But
grew up in the country. My daddy was a country preacher, although we would go into the city, the Baltimore City, every Sunday afternoon because he had a city church as well of deaf people. But we had
right.
three little country churches, two actually, the two country churches right near Fort Meade, which is Second Army headquarters. That's where NASA is today. It was
Oh,
not
okay.
there. It was not there then. It was real country where I grew up. There were maybe, I don't know. I don't think there were 500 people
Oh, wow.
in our whole. In the village, there were probably less than 100. It was pretty small,
Oh,
and their
wow.
friends had farms. So real very. But it was really village living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to say, I bet that was the perfect setup for everybody to be trading everything and looking out for each other.
Yeah, kind of. It was a funny area though. The the I don't know, strange when I think about it. It's all gone now. Nothing even close in that
Yep.
area anyway. Now I've moved further over on the shore. I'm in an area now that's about a half an hour from Azateg, which is a state and federal um, park,
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
and Ocean City. In a city that's really pretty good size. It's probably, I don't know, 250,000 people. It's a good sized city, but
Yep.
it's still very country. The
Mm-hmm.
the the whole peninsula, the Eastern Shore, which is Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia peninsula, has remained essentially isolated and separated, cut off from the rest of the world, from New Jersey to the north, and from D.C. to the
Mm-hmm.
west. Um, it's an area that my family settled in 400 years ago. Both sides of my family settled here 400 years ago, and
Oh, wow.
the they have maintained the community, the wider community. It's maintained that same spirit of a settler community. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of big farms, a lot of
Yeah.
big farms, labor force, watermen. Of course, there's some. The industry is primarily farming industry. It's a big
Mm-hmm.
chicken industry here, some cattle, a lot of fields of corn, wheat, potatoes, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So it's and the spirit of the people is very much that same country kind of spirit. So it's pretty nice being part of it. It's like, for me, it's coming home in a way that is intergenerational because I didn't grow up here, but
Mm-hmm.
all of my ancestors did, going back, as I say, 400 years. First
Right.
one
So you
came
get
to
to
James.
share within that same connection as
Yeah,
them through.
exactly,
Yeah.
right, and feel very much a part of it.
Yep.
Both sides of my family came to the Jamestown colony in the early 1600s, and then began settling up the bay from Jamestown, but on the eastern shore. So it's kind of interesting. I'm doing a sermon in a local church this coming Sunday We're going to be talking about that and about the ways in which the community has maintained its traditions and its culture and its
Mm-hmm.
faith over over the last 400 years. So that's I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's fun. It's a different lifestyle. A lot of people now see it as its alternative to just grow your own food or harvest your own food or anything like that, or be connected with with your food in some way.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't see it as alternative at all. Like, I don't know. I've had a lot of friends of mine look at me like I'm weird, like I'm crazy for what I do. I'm like, you're the weird and crazy one.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, what you're doing is not abnormal. It's what human beings have done for hundreds of thousands of years.
Yep. They were just a lot better at it than I am. I'm still learning.
I know. I know. See, Anthony Udovich is grilling a ribeye, doing steak and shrimp for dinner. Woo. Not bad. I got a nice
That sounds good.
porterhouse in the fridge. I need to pull that out one of these days soon before it dries out on me.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah,
anyone, a guy that thinks, wants to know, would anyone recommend caulking over the seams on a new tank to strengthen it against leaks? Caulking. I don't know what that would mean,
he's
caulking.
talking about like we're in the corners of the tank where the silicone already is, just adding more
Adding
silicone.
more
Just
silicone.
yeah, I
It,
wouldn't. I don't
it
think it's gonna
doesn't
do
work.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't hold. It's the first thing to give, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, if
unless
there's a
you
worry of a leak, I would probably just cut it all out and re-silicone it.
do it, the one thing you can be careful about, look at the seams first. Look through the glass at the seam. And if you see little tiny bubbles in there or any kind of space, then the seal is broken. So you would need at that point to to press silicone back into that seam to get it between the glass. Typically, it's not. In a small tank, especially, that almost never happens. If you use a razor and clean out the surface silicone, don't go between the sheets of glass, just the surface. Clean it really good with alcohol. It's got to be super clean. If it's not super clean, the silicone is going to leak.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be really pristine, clean, and then put it in, press it in, and you can press in a small bead. Doesn't need to be thick with it. And then let it dry for a day or two. A couple of days is better. The longer it dries, the better. And then just go ahead and fill it. In a small tank, it's almost impossible to fail. In a bigger tank, it's almost impossible to succeed. So, forewarned is forearmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had a couple of tanks leak on me, but I use them for other things now. I use one is kind of a dojo for scaping practice scaping. It's just a 10 gallon, so I just have a little 10 gallon. I'll set it up outside and just do my little practice scapes inside of it. And the others I just run as dry starts, so I'll use them as a dry start tank for whatever.
Melissa wants to know, where is it? How do I fix my water hardness? Now, I don't know what you mean by that. Is your water hard or is your water soft? If your water is hard, there really is nothing to fix
Yeah.
because any fish you're likely to have are going to be perfectly happy in hard water. There are very few fish that require soft water. And most of the fish that are from salt water originally have been bred in captivity for so long that they can no longer tolerate soft water. I've told the story before of a woman in Philadelphia years ago who bought angels from me, and she spent at that time $200 or $300, and I spent weeks collecting from the local farmers and breeders a selection of angels that was just spectacular. I had albino veils, pearl scales,
Mm.
blacks, everything that was really fancy. Shipped them all to her and she was thrilled. And she decided that what she was going to do was keep them in their native water, which was, of course, soft acid water. Well, I had breeders calling her up, telling her not to do it because these fish had been bred. That was in the late 90s, and angels started being bred in Florida in the 40s. So for 50 years, they'd been bred in hard alkaline water, and they could no longer tolerate it. Well, long story
Hmm.
short, she lost every one of them. Every one of them bled out because the soft acid water caused the cell walls in their gills to expand and bleed to
Ooh.
the point where their gill plates were blood red. Everything around their eyes, around their gills, around their anus was blood red,
Mm.
and they all died in a matter of a month or so. It was really tragic. So I sent her another batch that weren't nearly as nice. She killed those as well, and then because she had charged everything on her credit card, she reversed the charge and dared me to come up to Philadelphia and get the carcasses. That was the point where I quit Aquabid. I was just so angry and upset and hurt and everything else about that. I felt like I'd really been abused. It took me a while to get back into it after that. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
her and a lawyer at the same time came after me tooth and tongue for God knows what. I crossed him somehow. So,
I like what Glassbox Hero was saying too. So maybe like they could be in my situation. I've got liquid rock water, and they may want to soften it for a certain type of shrimp or something like that that they're wanting to raise. So yeah, you can definitely cut your water down, but it's hard water. You've already got particles in it of unknown whatevers. So I mean, if you add something to it, you're just adding to those particles. So like what Glassbox Heroes was saying up there, cutting it with RO water or rainwater, so kind of diluting it with that to try to pull some of that out, and each time you dilute it. Or if it's a small enough tank, you may consider just using pardon me, RO water. If the shrimp is maybe the reason that you're wanting to try to soften or remove some of the particles out of your water.
the problem, of course, with RO is it has no carbonates in it,
Hmm.
so you cannot keep the pH up. So you're fighting keeping your pH up above 6, and it can
Yeah.
be that can cost you in the other direction.
Yeah, you got to have a buffer of some kind.
Who's talking about snakeheads?
I don't know. I thought I saw that too.
Marine's Menagerie is talking about snakeheads.
Oh, I completely didn't finish answering your question earlier. Once I moved to what I called the city, we stayed out there for a while and kind of escaped, having chickens and having farm animals, pigs and goats and all of that, and I missed it. And I was just like, this isn't fulfilling. And so we moved out here and got right back to it, and it feels right
Nice.
to loop back around as shortly as I can. It
Yeah,
feels right.
I want to look at some of what you've been doing outside before it gets dark. There, you want to take us
Yeah.
on a little tour?
Yeah, we might lose audio. I'm going to try to set it in here, but let me join on my phone. I got to get the link for the stream here. Yeah, I'll join in on it and show you. Or show y'all.
Monster Fish Gal, hello, hello.
Do, do, do,
Kristen
do.
Hall.
Settings.
Kristen Cole raises an interesting question. She got a bucket of creek Dunkin' water and things have died off in the bucket. It's now ammonia and uh, weird red stuff. Let's see, let me get you up. There you are.
There we go.
Let's take this off. Have we got sound? We don't have sound yet.
Do you
Got
have
no
sound
sound.
now?
I got no sound.
How about now?
Yeah, try it again. Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, Chip, no, you gotta stay. Oh, okay. I'll let you run through. I'll have to chase him down here in a minute. He's like, I ain't following you, not right now. So right outside my shed here is, let me switch the camera around, is my plant pond. That I grow everything in. I keep a screen. It's just a screen top over the top
How
of it.
big? How big is it?
It's 3 foot by 6 foot, and
Nice.
I don't know if you can see them. I've got some of my mollies in here, some of my little grow out mollies. There's a few of the fully grown mollies in here too, which is really neat because I'm getting to see a completely different behavior with them having all of this space and hideaways. I get to see a different swimming behavior out of them. They get the zoomies out here. It's a lot of fun watching them. There's one of them.
Can you turn your camera sideways? Will it give you a landscape? Yes, that's great.
There we go. But yeah, so I'm growing there.
Nice.
This is where it's. I'm not really growing anything in it. There's stuff growing in it, but it's not really doing much. It's like a duckweed and val. But and then over on the other side, oh, sorry, here we go. Over here is my muck, which is an
Yeah,
old
I
and
wanted to talk for a minute about the muck problem that who was it? Kristen had. You can overdo it. It's really easy to
oh yeah,
overdo it. It's like fouling a tank. When you collect this stuff, if you can do it in a kiddie pool like that or something with
mm-hmm,
more surface space, it's
yeah,
you've got a better chance of being successful. If you got a fair amount, don't try to put it in a bucket because it's not going to work. You want to spread it out. Oh, some
yeah,
shoe boxes or whatever you can to get it spread out as much as possible.
for sure. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to control. Like really, the only thing that I have to worry about in that pond is dragonfly nymph. Dragonfly nymph will get in there and wreak havoc on everything. They eat all of the all of the Daphnia and the copepods that are in there, and I get these little
Right, right,
little blood worms that get in there as well. They end up, I'll get little spots of algae, and they'll hide up underneath the underside of the algae that's like right up there at the top of the water or sitting on the surface of something, and they'll eat all of them too. So
right.
start getting them in there and start losing all my free food.
Yeah, the best way to keep them out is some kind of a cover, because the female dragonfly will fly over body water and just dip her tail in, and every time she dips her tail, she lays an egg. Oh, look at this! Oh, there's a screecher.
So I've got multiple. This is my chicken coop section, which I've got a couple extra male dove in here.
Nice.
We had too many males, so I had to pull them out and give them some extra space.
Are they ringnecks? I thought I
Yeah,
saw a
yep.
ringneck. Yeah.
And
Look
this
at
is
you.
Phyllis. This is Phyllis Diller. She's a Polish hen.
Nice.
And then I've got another section of aviary through the Willy Wonka door here that comes up to my waist,
Ah.
and it's where we keep the rest of the dove.
Oh, how nice. How many doves you got?
Right now, I think we're at 20.
Now
No,
you're
16.
you're marketing them.
My wife is wanting to. She talks about it, but she hasn't done it yet.
Oh,
And
I
then
see.
here
Quail.
are the little quail.
Are they buttons?
These
They're
are
bigger than buttons.
no, these are jumbo. They're actually jumbo whites.
Oh
I
my!
thought
Oh, they are
I
bigger.
thought,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought they would be bigger, but there's the size of their eggs.
Oh, that's a pretty good egg. Yeah.
Oh, they are. They're delicious.
That's almost big enough to eat, right?
It is just
Ah,
right there. Here you go.
really?
Yeah, they are really pretty. There's different patterns on them too. Like this one has like a coffee stain.
Huh.
Yeah, they're real pretty. Easy to care for little birds.
Nice.
And then the other thing that I have that is not in here is the pigeons. But
Oh,
there's
what kind of pigeons you got?
well, now it's a mix. Oh, there's one. There's their door to go out. So I guess they're wanting to come back in and getting mad at me.
Uh,
Getting mad at me. Wondering why the heck they can't get into their spot. But no, it was originally I had homers, and I ended up,
okay.
a friend of mine that's local is a pigeon aficionado
Oh,
and had one.
rollers.
It was a racer, actually, a Guinness World
Oh
Record
wow.
holding line of racer, Avril, which I believe is a Dutch racing pigeon that's set multiple world records with speed.
Huh.
There's the aviary. That way y'all can actually see what it is, how long it runs for.
Oh, nice. Do you have predator problems?
Not with this. We used to. That's why I built it. Yeah, we had issues with coyotes, wolves, possums, raccoons, snakes. I mean, everything that the South has to offer, we've had to deal with it.
Right.
Till we got our catahoulas. Once we got our catahoulas, there was hardly any life that hangs
Oh,
out.
really? That's interesting.
Yeah, one of my catahoulas just last night spent 2 hours barking at two rat snakes that were mating in what I call the snake hole that
Huh.
we have on the property. So
Huh.
yeah, he wouldn't shut up, but he didn't want them around. He was like, no, y'all move along.
Funny.
But and then here's part of our garden. We pulled
Oh,
all this
nice.
out harvest already, but
Yeah.
got growing a massive squash. Here, I'll turn it around. There we go. Huge,
Oh, look at that.
massive squash plants
My
that
word.
are already
Well, they
fruiting
are. Yeah. We got fruit
very,
in there.
very well.
Looking good.
They're sitting up about 2.5, 3 foot tall.
Huh.
We're addicted to fried squash, so
Oh, nice.
having it around. And then my tomatoes, I've got a bunch of different types of tomatoes that I'm growing here. All of these are indeterminate varieties, and then peppers, of course, but put in the irrigation system for it yesterday.
Now, are you buying seedlings, or what are you doing
Some of
for
it is.
tomatoes?
Some of it's seedlings. Some of it, we have friends that are local farmers, so we support them and we'll buy some of their starters.
Okay.
Like I believe all of these squash in here were starters, and then the ones outside on the rows were ones that we started, and then these cucumbers right here were starters.
Nice. Anthony Udovich says I have 150 chickens, 10 cows, 5
Nice.
Peking ducks, 6 New Zealand rabbits, and 2 breeding pigs. Ah,
He's doing it right.
yeah, he's got a real farm. 10 cows, that's a handful.
Yeah, it is. I'd like to get some cows here, but I don't want the full-sized ones. I want
The dwarfs.
the Dexters. They're
Oh, yeah.
that smaller variety.
My daughter has a herd of them.
Oh, nice.
She's got, I don't know how many she has now, about 10, I think.
Oh, wow.
She got them before they went crazy. They've become phenomenally expensive lately.
I just saw them. There they are. You'll see them here in a second. There's
Ah,
the
yeah.
pigeons.
There they are. Nice.
We've got about yeah, 10 pigeons that fly
So
around.
you had some trees there,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
some big trees. Any fruit trees?
This whole section back here, this line of trees back here, there's a drop off that goes down about 15, 20 feet, and it's all creek, and it
Oh,
meets
nice.
up going this way. It meets up into an huge spring-fed pond that's down at the on just on the other side of the property at the end of our cul-de-sac.
Huh.
And yeah, it's insanely deep. When I was a kid, we used to dive into it and have our fun there, and we would joke because we could never hit the bottom. We never did
Wow.
reach the bottom, but on the clearest days, it was so cool. On the clearest days, we could see a front end loader that had the bucket all the way up. And if you were in a canoe or a kayak or something and looking down on it, you could see the bucket
Oh, my
uh,
word.
in the upward position. And it,
Wow. Amazing.
you switch me over to the other camera.
Yep.
There we go. Turn this one off. All right.
There we are.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Here, I'll leave it there in case I need to get out again.
Okay. I'll leave
Can you
it
still
on.
hear me all right?
Yep, just fine.
Good. But yeah, we're really enjoying it. we've spent the last few days or the last week preparing for more quill. I've for months we've been trying to find actually the guy that I got the pigeon from, which is Avril, is that pigeon's name. I've got her granddaughter or great granddaughter. I think it's her granddaughter. But so she's a racer, so it got mixed in. But
Where is Chip? Where's the dog?
somebody's looking out. I have to go check real quick. Pardon me.
I don't think he'd run off, but you want to keep track of an animal like that. They're too friendly. You get him?
He was a good boy and was waiting right outside the door.
Wonderful.
Can't beat that.
Kristen is saying, does this mean I could add too much river gunk sand to my Bettis fish tank? Yes. I'm struggling to get a tank going on no money. You just put it in slowly, like a little bit, a tiny amount, every once a week, or maybe twice a week. Once a week is better, and just build it up that way. If you do it slowly and gradually, it won't create a problem because the tank will develop the ability to handle that increased biological load. You just don't want to do it quickly. So, Pre-Drag wants to see your aquariums.
No problem. You can pull it back up. It's going to be a lot easier. Well, I may be able to do it with this camera, but that's going to be a lot more shaky. Find the link again. Why does it have to be so
Crystal, hello,
hard?
Crystal. Nice to see you.
There we go. Not all of them are escaped. But a few of them are. There we go. I'll just
Changing the water is not really going to help, Kristen. If it's foul, the best thing to do is just let it sit and let it settle out. You can pull some of that gunk out and set it up in another one. I would get a fresh batch and just start over. We don't have his sound again.
Yeah, sorry, I muted the other one. Oh, here, I'll mute this one. There we go. Is that better? There we go. Can you hear me? I don't think it's working. Can you hear me now? Gallon BioCube. I'm working on this one actually for my dad. I'd wanted this tank for a while, this style tank for a while, and I got it. And as soon as I got it on the property, my my dad comes up and says, "Hey, you know what? That's not a bad looking tank. I really like that. That'd look good in my house." So I'm building it up for him. That's my first one. Then there's this one, which is another 29 gallon, but a standard 29 gallon. And this one I scaped a while back ago. It's got a massive amount of different plants in it, including a moss tree.
Cool.
There we go. And the nano aquarium guy actually helped me a lot with this one. Then this one is my babies. These are my favorite mollies that I have. I've got the huge tank beside me, and yes, that's a kid ornament. Don't laugh. But no, I really, really liked how these mollies in particular turned out. The Dalmatians, they all ended up with, if they have the Dalmatian color, they ended up with the platinum eyes, and the gold just came in. I don't know, they just very proportionate, really good looking. But I also have Serpes and Phantoms in here as well. And then up here, this is a new one that I'm working on. Remind me, because I can't hear anything right now. All I can do is talk. I'll tell you how I set this up. This one was more a new thing that I'm working on that's still the father fish method, which both of these are as well as this one too, but it does have a built-in sump because it's the wqill. But this is a new one that I've been working on. It's got a lot of different plants in it: money awards, rotalas, anubias, wallachii, alternanthera, renekii, juncus repens, S repens, micro swords, some mermaid weed in the very back, standing proud. Then we have the big boy.
All the pretty mollies.
120 gallon. It's a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot 120 gallon. So it's a really, really fun, long, deep platform to be able to run and play with, which makes it extremely fun to scape. This guy right here is my favorite fish in my entire fish room. I've been trying to catch this little guy for a week so that I can put him in this tank with them because I want to breed him. But
you need a big net.
Yeah, a big net. Hey, I can hear you now. Okay, I couldn't before. But yeah, this is a dirted 120 gallon as well. I don't know if you can see. There you go.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Just because I heard that you could do it, I did do it. I dirted the sump as well.
Oh, good.
So it's got a dirted and sand capped sump. I guess if you would call that biomedia, that's the only biomedia that's in it. Other than that, it's
that looks good. That looks wonderful.
So that's fun, and it makes a great storage place for extra plants too. So if you got a project later on and you're wanting to scape something later on and wanting to keep some of your clippings for plants for a later scape, there's a reason to dirt your sump.
Absolutely.
And then here, I'll get a better look at this side over here of this now. There's driftwood in this as well that I'd found, some pretty decent roots, but they're all hidden now within all of the plants. My cribs, I'm really curious how they're going to end up. There are babies. They're all over
Thank
the
you,
place in
Christopher,
here. And they spend most of their time hiding in all of the crypts at the bottom. And
foraging.
I did
Yeah.
this for a reason. The mollies, these evil, evil mollies. No, I love them. They are my babies. Um, they uh, they flick their tails at the bottom. Go to a group down here at the bottom, then something will spook them, or one of them will just randomly start swimming the other direction. So they'll all flip and swim in that direction, and it flips up inches of sand at a time.
Uh,
So put all of the crypts down here, and I'm not having, especially against the front, and I'm not having any issues with them hitting the sand away from the edge now. These are my angels.
Erie, I don't see your question. Type it again.
This one's a non-scaped. Um, this one I'm still looking for inspiration on. But at the moment, oh, where are they? They're hiding. This has my African clawed frogs in it. I still have
Oh,
them.
nice. How big are they?
I remember, if I stretch them out, they're probably at about 6 inches.
Oh, they're getting there.
They're
I've
tiny.
seen them a foot long, stretched
Yeah,
out. They
I've
get
heard.
pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. They've got this jungle of val on this whole side over here that flows over the top. But oh man, they're usually out. They usually come right up to me. They'll eat out of my hand. I'll stick a brine shrimp cube down in there, and they'll jump right up on my hand. Of course, I'll wash my hands first.
Right, right.
Jump right up on my hand and grab the brine shrimp cube right out of my hand. Oh, well that stinks. I was hoping you'd be able to see them. Cause I remember. Oh, there's. Kind of see it back there. He's stretched out.
Uh,
But there's that, and then
yeah,
my
the dwarf
37.
Africans are nice.
This one's not scaped either. This one was mostly so that I could um, extend my Ludwigia and Super Red Repens and Rotalas so that I would
Nice.
have
Yeah.
more to propagate from. But meantime, it's been making a great house for my Bolivian rams.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I've got two.
Phillips. Phillips Fishwork is here. Good to see you.
Hello. Yeah, I've got it. Oh, the other one just ran. I've got two of the Bolivian rams, some albino cories, which their baby is. I'll do this slow. Their baby is, or babies are in this tank. In fact, you can see it moving right there. That's
Uh,
their baby. First ones that I got to spawn. First cories that I
cool.
got. Craig with Craig's Catfish Cave really helped me out with that because I'd never
Yeah,
tried to
Craig
spawn.
is here. Hey, Craig.
Yeah, he
He
helped me
wants
out.
to know how many tanks you're running right now. Craig
Uh,
wants to know.
that are actually running. There's your behind the scenes. Hi, y'all.
uh,
But on top of those, I also have things like this, like my sealed
oh,
terrarium
cool.
that I'm running.
It's sealed, you said?
Well, it's covered, but yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
This one's just got a glass cover on the top. I need to cut that and fit it in or fit it across, but
Right.
total running. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there's.
Nice.
But this is another. It's just another dry start. I got cellophane on top of it.
Ah,
I do grow
Erie
stuff.
says their albino cherry barbs are digging down deep. I don't know how deep they could go. Half an inch tops.
I
I
love
couldn't
barbs.
imagine them going deeper. There's one. Is that a cherry barb?
It's a denison barb.
A denison. Okay.
What are they called? Roseline
Yeah, the
sharks.
rose. Oh, yeah. All right. Right.
But yeah, here I'll switch off.
Very nice. Yes, Erie, yours. So, how deep are they digging?
You want to switch over?
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go. Do fish 2 foot tall still go after small shrimp? I mean, may not think of it as a
Fish
huge meal, but
2 foot. Um, yeah, it depends on the fish. There are a lot of big fish that'll eat very tiny food. They'll forage for it. If it's plentiful, that's all they'll eat. And shrimp is a good example of a food source in the wild that a large fish will eat in very large numbers.
camera turn. Oh, it's because of this light.
Yeah, glass boxes talking about mollies. Fresh to salt. I caught them in. I caught sailfin mollies in the bay in Florida that was right at the Gulf, so it was full salt, and they were in there. I've also caught them in full fresh. In fact, I've caught them in 5.0 pH. I've caught them in very soft, very acidic water. So they can do quite a range. That really surprised me. I had no idea. But there were colonies of them in a ditch that I collected out in the middle of Florida that had a pH of 5.0. I was getting primarily Elisoma evergladi there, which is just really a remarkable fish. Beautiful tiny fish. I got a picture of one in my hand. I need to get the picture posted. It's
Did you see
beautiful.
that molly that I was showing you? That's in the 120 gallon, the one that had the more like that
The red,
brownish,
yeah,
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 and the blue spots on its
yeah,
fins.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how I ended up with that out of all of these mollies that I have, but it looks so more natural to me, more like what a gold molly you would expect to look like in the wild. Like that's what you would, or what one would expect one to look like in the wild. I have if you could have a crush on a fish, I have a crush on that fish.
Yeah, mollies are incredible. You can get strains of mollies in any color at all.
Yeah.
Everything from black to white and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really remarkable.
Yeah, I got
Reds,
some starting to
yellows,
show a
blues.
full-on red now,
I
like
don't know
right
if
below
I've
their
seen a
dorsal
green
fin.
one. Reds, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
spotted. Not a whole lot with the finnage. Some, I mean, the sailfin, of course, the male sailfin has a beautiful fin.
Mm-hmm.
What have I done here? I managed to screw myself up.
Yeah, they're really, really similar to the Platies or Platies,
Right.
which is strange because you'd think they would both be Xiphophorus instead of Platies being Xiphophorus and Molly's being Poecilia.
I think it's simply it's like the guppy. They've been they've been bred in captivity for so long, and they exist in such diversity in the wild that it's possible to get wild strains and cross them and come up with all kinds of morphs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there's a lot of people online that have they call them mutt guppy tanks or guppy mosh pits.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love those. Absolutely love those.
yeah.
You see so many
Absolutely.
different colors, different variations within them.
Well, what's fun is to get them in ponds. In
Mm-hmm.
Florida, every farmer has a guppy pond, and it's a mosh pit guppy pond.
Yeah,
Well, they'll pull stuff out of there. Sometimes it's just remarkable.
we'll give a whole new meaning to a Skittles tank instead of
Well,
it
and
being
what they
the
do, yeah,
dirt.
a lot of them will use that then as um, breeding breeding stock for line breeding because it'll be throwing stuff that is really worth expanding on and developing
Mm-hmm.
unusual colors. That's frankly how all the discus came about. They were being bred in captivity by the millions as wild discus. And fella was visiting his friend's discus farm one day, and he saw a single morph. It was about 2 inches, in with 100,000 other fish,
Oh
and he
wow.
snagged it. And out of that, all of the colored discus have come out of that one morph.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of remarkable the way that sort of thing happens.
It is. Discus have been a fish that a lot of people have been talking about here lately because I think people
I
are
have.
finally starting to realize that I've never kept them, so I can't say much. But from what I've been understanding is that they're a lot less of a headache to take care of and not as finicky as people think they are. Of course, depending on where they were bred, because I understand like the argument of if they've been bred in a perfectly sanitary tank for years and years and generations, and they're probably not going to do as well in in something other than that. But
Well, and that's literally true. Um, Super Cichlids in Dover, Delaware, just bought out Heinecker discus out of Germany,
hmm,
and they've had the breeding line, the entire breeding line shipped over to them. They've been building out a room about 5,000 square feet to house them.
oh wow,
So they're looking to do a major operation, and these are extremely hardy fish. They're a hard water discus. They raise them in hard alkaline water. They're disease free, very healthy, very strong. They get enormous. They get like 10 inches, which is huge for a discus. So I'm looking to get some of them and to get them going in some of these 29s I've got here that are deep substrate tanks and see if I can't get them breeding.
yeah, I haven't kept them yet, but I've just now starting to realize and see people talk about that because before it was just if you're not a pro, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, which I mean that should go with any fish. If you don't know what you're doing, don't get one. do your research first. But it was one of those that I've been kind of pushed away and backed away from wanting to get one because of the stories that I heard that they're hard to take care of. And
Well, it's like so many other things. There's a mistake. It's the probably the only freshwater fish that's generally available that there's a real mystique about, and it's been perpetuated by people who insist on keeping them in the most labor intensive way possible.
I kind of do that though, like with my farm, or I say farm, with our little farm that we have. There's a lot of things that I choose to do the manual way and not go the easy way out. I don't know. I can
Yeah.
see that. I definitely wouldn't want to do that with the fish tank or with the system like that. That's something, the more you mess with it, the worse off it's gonna be. So with fish, I'm not like that as much, but with some things I definitely am. I like doing some things the hard way, so I can get that.
See what's in the comments here.
Tom and Fishery are gonna get sponsored
It's
by
sponsored
Dr.
by
Pepper.
Dr. Pepper, yeah. You know who else is big on Dr. Pepper? Is Alex.
Yeah, that's Fishery. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. He changed his name.
yeah. He was talking about doing it for a while. Man, I admire that man so much. And I don't think I'm the only one either. I think that
He
he's
is.
he's one of those that's got a cult following of people
Yeah,
that
he's
would just
remarkable.
yeah, he's an awesome guy.
He really is. He and I would try to get together so many times. We're trying to hook up with Lucas in Florida this
Hmm.
summer. We're going to try to get the three of us together in
Oh,
Lucas's fish room this August.
that'll be a good one.
So we'll see.
That'll be a
Yeah,
real good one.
yeah. I'm going to get those guys up here sometime in the next few weeks. Lucas was talking about it Friday. He was up with Alex last week,
Hmm.
and they've both been in my chat here Sunday evening. So I'm gonna contact them and see if we can't do a three-way on a Sunday evening. Pepperling
Yeah, I
Creek
would.
just popped in. Hello, Pepperling Creek. I think I bought some fish from you guys that I'm waiting to see. I'm real excited about getting them.
Did you get their celestial pearl danios?
I think I did.
Yeah,
I can't remember what I ordered. It was about a week ago, so I'm looking forward to getting that shipment.
they're a good one. Foxy.
That's a great fish.
I tried keeping them before and couldn't do it. So I was just convinced. I was like, well, maybe they just don't like my hard water. That's just all there is to it. They just don't like hard water. That's what I convinced myself of. But I talked to Foxy's fishes, the other half of Pepling Creek, the better half, dare I say.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, he just
and
said they're fasting. My fish
yep.
right now, I'm shipping them out in the morning. So I
Oh,
look forward
awesome.
to that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, she talked me into wanting CPDs again. So now I'm
Good.
back on that train of wanting to get me some CPDs. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what fish I want to put in this tank up here. Oh, I'd said that earlier. I was saying to remind me of how I set this up. So it's a father fish tank, but it's not a father fish tank.
How's that?
Instead of having the soil directly underneath the sand, since I didn't know what kind of fish I was gonna have, and I wanted to do my own little test on the amount of tannins and stuff that would leach out, visually. I put the soil, instead of just an inch of soil in there, I put the soil in old filter socks and did about a 2.5 inch tall, 16-inch filter sock full of soil and I have two of those. So each spot where you see a mound, so here and here, there's those filter socks that are full of that soil in there, and that's what I've been trying out with that in case I get
So why are
uh,
you doing that now?
in case I get fish that dig is the biggest thing, especially with like what I was talking about with the mollies on the 120 gallon, how they would flip their tail. Well, at first they kept exposing my soil layer, even through 2.5 inches of sand. They were exposing the soil layer, so it's like that's why I ended up doing the crypts on this tank. And so if I get any fish that dig or anything in this one, I won't have to worry about it.
So
I'm trying to.
when the roots grow into the bag, then you can't take the plant out without taking
Ah,
the bag out.
yeah, that's true. Well, it depends. I mean, on some, like on stem plants and stuff like that, most of these,
Stems, it doesn't matter.
yeah. But yeah, that's a very valid point. Definitely don't plant an Amazon sword on
Like
top of a
swords,
bag.
exactly. Yeah, but that's exactly what that sword will do.
Well,
It'll
yeah.
plant itself right in the middle of that bag.
Well, I guess at least if it pulls out, it's not going to expose all the soil still.
Yeah, well,
It'll pull the whole bag out.
yeah, exactly. Right. Funny.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I know that's come up a few times.
Well, I've tried a
And it
couple of
just
other
works out.
things, and the idea is to try to keep the exposure, that soil exposure, from happening. So people have used like the grating for lights,
Yeah,
or you can use like fake plastic turf that's clear. You can
right,
put that
right,
on top of
right.
the soil, and then put the sand on top of this. So that way, if they're digging, they're hitting this, and it's not
It's
gonna
all the
hurt
same
them.
problem with the plants, though.
Yeah,
As the plants grow into that stuff.
yeah. I didn't
I had
think
a
about that.
friend back when, golly, now we're going back, 60 years, 50 years. 50
Gotcha.
years ago in Putney, Vermont, the Putney School at Putney, Vermont, the head of the English department was a man named Jeff Campbell. Jeff
Hmm.
Campbell was a light skinned black man who was a Unitarian minister, kind of a chunky, big, stocky football player kind of guy, brilliant, highly literate, of course, who had about 25 fish tanks in his classroom.
Oh, awesome.
And the classroom was windows on two sides, solid windows. So all these tanks were sitting in windows. No lights on them. They got natural sunlight.
Hmm.
He had a wood stove, a big potbelly wood stove, in the classroom, which is how he heated the room in the winter, as with a wood stove. This was on the campus of the Putney School.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I remember going there. He did have heaters in the tanks. He had electricity. I remember going there one winter day, and he had lost power from a storm the day before. He had been up all night heating water on his wood stove
Hmm.
to keep the temperature in his tanks from dropping below, I think his goal was 60 degrees.
Yeah.
He had the first Uaru I ever saw, and he was breeding them. He had hundreds of baby Waru, which absolutely blew me away. I've had Waru a number of times since then, and I have spawned them. They are um, a fish that the female at least, and maybe the male too, um, expels a nutritious slime coat that the babies will eat just like with the discus.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're from the same water. That was a really remarkable guy. I learned, anyway, what brought it up was he was using he was using gravel over um, under gravel filters. This was the age of the under gravel filter in the 60s.
I think somebody was just talking about under gravel filters too.
Now, well, that was all the rage then. What he did though was he added extra gravel to the top. So he had like 2 inches of gravel sitting on top of this plate and plants. He grew a lot of plants,
Mm-hmm.
mostly swords, val, sage, those kinds of big root plants.
Mm-hmm.
And they would all grow into that under gravel plate. So that when I was there
Took
one
over
day,
it.
yeah, I was there one day when he was cleaning out the tank. He took all the gravel out and then lifted the tray out, and the plants were all just completely grown into the tray. No way to take them out.
Looked like one of those root beds from the
Yeah,
bottom of a
yeah,
microgreen grow, where it's just
yeah,
all roots sitting below. Yeah.
exactly right. And of course, that's how he redid it. Now, the thing that's interesting about that is that with that deep a level of sand, he left them run for about 2 years. He didn't know not to clean them. He cleaned them when they stopped flowing. But the point was they stopped
Mm-hmm.
flowing because water, when those filters work, they create channels that the water flows through. And then it'll block up that channel, then it'll be flowing in another channel, and it keeps doing that
Mm-hmm.
until all the channels are blocked off. At that point, you have a deep substrate system.
Yeah.
The thing to do then is to take the tube out, put a sponge filter or an air stone in it if you still want the circulation, and let her rip because it at that point it has become a total tank filter that operates completely independently of the air pump system.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know that then.
I'm replying to a question somebody had here. I'll just say it here. You can pull the plants out. When you're doing it, though, be very, very mindful. If you just yank on it and pull out, you're gonna
Yeah,
expose all of
jiggle
the
it,
soil. Yeah, I was gonna
jiggle it.
say you gotta give it a little shimmy,
Yeah,
shimmy, kind
just
of work it
jiggle
back and
it as
forth.
it comes out. So
Yeah.
and what you're doing is you're breaking the hair roots loose from the root because the hair roots attach to gravel or other detritus or other material. So
Mm-hmm.
by jiggling it, those roots break off and release the sand or the gravel. So you pull it out, then it comes out clean.
Mm-hmm.
When you replant it, those hair roots grow back in 1 to 2 days.
It's
So you're not
fast.
really injuring the plant at all by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh
every
yeah.
time you pull a plant out of the dirt, you lose all of the hair roots, all those tiny little roots. And those are the roots that actually do the work. They are what absorbs nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the main body of the root that absorbs, it's all the tiny hair roots on it that actually do the absorbing. And in point of fact, every single one of those little tiny hair roots builds up an anaerobic layer immediately surrounding it. If you think about that a minute, then you begin to understand what those systems are actually doing, how they're actually working. Now, the root will, based on what that plant is doing, if it's growing leaves, it will send out a hormone through those hair roots that will tell the bacteria to create a certain compound out of the available elements that the plant needs in order to grow leaves. Another hormone for stems, another for flowers, and so forth. So there's a signaling going on through those tiny hair roots between the plant and the bacteria, the anaerobic bacteria, that are telling that bacteria what to produce.
That's really neat.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to kill a plant just because some roots come off of it. I trim roots a lot. I mean, at some point you kind of have to.
Really. Oh,
Was I being a bobblehead, Ire? Is that? He said, "I see you nodding, Tom."
funny. What are we
I
doing?
was learning. I was engaged. I was like,
Really. Gail Tenaglia. Thank you, Glassbach Hero.
Yeah, Danny Glassbox has been very active in the chat, helping out.
Alex Aquariums. Can you recommend any books about fish keeping? Where is my book? I found it the other day and I forgot where I put it.
I'd like to know the answer to that question too.
I have an old Ennis book that my grandmother gave me when I graduated from high school in 1959. And I thought I had it here and I don't see it. Yeah, I haven't looked, I haven't cracked a book. The only ones I've got into seriously are the, oh, let me grab a few over here. Come on. The atlases. Ah, the
I don't
bench.
get peacock egg that much, Danny. Right now, I'm not getting any peacock egg, but quail egg, yeah, I definitely have some people that come and get quail eggs from me weekly.
The bench atlas, and
Bench
this
aquarium
is
atlas.
the photo index, which there's a book. It's a series of 5 books that cover 5 different classifications
So it's
of
the
different.
Encyclopedia Britannica for fish.
Yeah, exactly. And this particular volume is the photo index, so it doesn't have all of the detail, but it does have the pictures. So it's a great resource for being able to look up things. And of course, it's all categorized by family and species, subspecies, and so forth.
That's really cool.
So I've used that. That's about the only book I use. Everything else is online. I mean, and it's all
Mm-hmm.
online. You know, it's crazy.
Yep.
I can spend less than a minute getting all of the information I want about virtually any subject. Whereas when I was young, I had to go to a library, and I was lucky if I could find a book on the subject I was looking for. I may have to have actually requested that book from a member library and spent a week or two waiting for it to come in. That's extraordinary to me. That information is any information about anything is instantly available.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It just It's really extraordinary. And now with AI, what's interesting to me about that is that it is making available the ability to organize that information in a useful way.
Yeah, I've messed around with it before, especially like with my content. I've played around with it before. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, okay, can this make a YouTube video, like make the script for a YouTube video? I tried it,
Oh
but the
yeah.
information that it gives is so vague and basic. It's the same regurgitated information that everybody has. There's nothing new, nothing exciting, nothing in depth. It's
Well,
just
it's not creative.
yeah, exactly.
It's
It's
not
just it's an
creative.
overload of basic.
Yeah, it doesn't think.
Yeah.
It doesn't draw conclusions. It simply puts it's a puzzle solver. It solves puzzles. It'll
Yeah.
take it'll take 1,000 piece puzzle and put it together in 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does.
And you can kind of mess with it and manipulate it as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So if you like I liked what it had on one of them. I was like, okay, this is cool. So I added, I think I wrote on there, can we make it more funny? Can we make it more in depth? Can we make it more scientific? I mean, you can manipulate them in those ways, but you can only get it to give so much information. At some point, it's just expecting you to go do your own information or do your own research. I got to that point on one of them to where
Yeah,
it
exactly.
actually, instead of giving me the information for what I was looking for, it said cut to a scene with a scientist in this field to give this information on it. And I was like, there it is.
Well, that's right. It doesn't think.
Hmm.
It doesn't think. It's not a brain.
It compiles and compresses all of the random
It's
information that's
That's
available. Yeah.
exactly right. And it does it in a way that's utterly phenomenal. And
Hmm.
it can do it and crank out literature to whatever level of sophistication you want because everything's in it.
Yep.
But it cannot compare two thoughts and come up with a unique third thought that no one has come up with before. It cannot do that. It does not think.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was
I think I'm with you there. It's just an over
Well, what's
elaborate
interesting
algorithm.
about that is that that's the problem with modern education. Modern education is not teaching children to think, it's teaching them to regurgitate.
Yep. Or look it up on Google.
Yeah, which exactly right. It's teaching them to be computers. It's
Hmm.
not teaching them to be the master of the computer. In point of fact, it's teaching them to be the slave of the computer. In point of fact.
Learn only how to repair me, but don't learn how to make me from nothing.
Yeah, there was an
Yeah.
article came out a couple of days ago from the Defense Department was talking about a a weapon system that was in a test phase, and they had a target. They were sending the weapon to the target, and the operator stopped the weapon. So the weapon killed the operator in order to
Oh.
fulfill its primary mission of destroying the target.
Oh wow. Yeah, I heard something about. I think it's one of those things that keeps recirculating online, but about some AI issue with people getting injured in a lab from some AI robot that they had or something. But I don't know. I haven't really looked to see if it was real or not. But
Yeah, I don't know
I
that.
mean, you put the thoughts out there, and then the thoughts are out there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that
One,
any of that has actually happened, but the potential for it is very high.
say no to Skynet. Exactly.
Yeah, right. Right. Amen to that. Oscar wants to know, Oscar Jungle Tank, when are we getting the Deep Substrate book? Um, it should start coming out in July. We were hoping for June, but we found we had to tie another unit. We spent 3 or 4 months researching leaves and got everything that's known about leaves. And then as we're putting it together, we're realizing it's meaningless without also
Mhm.
talking about the food web because it's integral to the food web. So we're linking the food web into that. So now it's going to be another couple of months before we get all that together. So we're hoping we'll be able to start coming up with some material in July. I think what we're going to do is put it up on Patreon. So it'll be behind a very inexpensive paywall. We've got to be able to pay the researchers. We've got,
Somebody had a question about leaves earlier, and it caught my attention, but it was a while back ago. They're asking about leaf litter.
well, they were talking about, somebody was talking about creating a culture that was too rich that polluted.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, so that's the conversation that stemmed from that. Okay.
I think so, yeah. So we did talk about that a bit.
Yeah.
How do you breed scuds in Daphnia? Abraham Nutrition. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Algae.
Um, yeah, you do it with green water, actually. Get some green water going, and you won't be able to keep them out of it. Just
Mm-hmm.
put it outside.
Yeah. Set it outside. Leave it there for if it's a warm climate, a warm season. Leave it out there for a week tops. You'll start seeing all kinds of stuff you can feed to your fish in that bucket.
Yeah, and you don't even have to put anything in it. It'll take a while, but if you can collect some material from a pond
Mm-hmm.
or a creek and put that in the water and
Yeah.
get a lot of sunlight,
Come here.
it'll start cranking out all kinds of things. Now, what you can do then is with the green water culture, you can use pipettes and separate out Daphnia and scuds in order to create pure culture.
That's smart. Because I get too scared in mine because the inflatable pool that I have out there, once, like I was saying, once I get dragonfly nymphs in it, I don't touch it because I usually use net and net everything out of it. And the first time I netted a dragonfly nymph in and didn't even see it, and knowing that they were there, like I was looking for it, but I netted one in. I was like, dang it, that's the end of that. I was like, I don't want
Well,
another
you
one of
want
these
to
to
do
get in
it.
here by accident.
You want to do it with. We know how to do it with things like microworm and vinegar eels. We've
Mm-hmm.
already got pure cultures of those.
Mm-hmm.
If you start pulling paramecium out, you see a cloud of paramecium, use a pipette, take them out and put them in green water that doesn't have any other microfauna in it except the algae, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll wind up very quickly with a paramecium culture. You can do it with yeast too, or oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of yeast is good, particularly, but it's a little detailed, but it's really not difficult to do to start getting pure culture. And you put them in a jar with a cloth cover over it, a rubber band holding it so that you're not allowing other things to get in. Who is this?
Mm-hmm. Midori.
Midori 4.99 super sticker. Thank you, Midori. It's very kind of you. Appreciate it.
Pile, we did talk a little bit about the outdoor setup, but I didn't go into detail on it. I know Pile Aquatics is here local. He's here by me. I actually got to meet him this past weekend at our nature reserve here. He was part of a snake exhibit that was there that was really, really,
Oh,
really,
nice.
really interesting. And he was had questions about outdoor setups and outdoor ponds and stuff. So I'm interested to see what his questions are.
Roland Forbes is saying, what kind. Hold on a minute. I'm giving him a wrench here. What kind of common substrate should we add the soil mud to enrich it further? Well, I um, biochar and worm casings are probably the two easiest ones that are pretty commonly available. You can get them in 40-pound bags through Amazon or most garden supply stores. Good
Oh.
good garden supply stores. You can even make it if you got a worm bed going and you're cooking charcoal. You can make biochar and you can make worm casings. Beyond that, it's a matter of getting iron in the water, getting carbonate buffer in the water. Those are the main two. Then it's bone meal, which will give you carbonate buffer.
Mm-hmm.
Blood meal will give you a whole host of
Nitrate.
minerals. Those alone, if you do blood meal, bone meal, either eggshell or or fish bone, or you can use the liquid fish stuff.
If you use eggshell, I will say there's a trick to that. If you've heard of the magic bullets, the little blenders, put your eggshell in one of those blenders, and
Yep,
it
yep,
will
absolutely.
it'll help its buffering capabilities to start working a little bit quicker. The shell doesn't have to completely break down.
Yeah, a
I do
lot.
that when I mix coffee grounds and stuff in with my eggshells. But yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you need to break it up.
Oh,
Um,
I undersold him. He's the president of the Dallas Fort Worth Herpetological Society.
oh my. All right,
Uh, He's
all
asked if my pond was in full sun. It's out in the sun, but it's
you got a
on.
shade cloth for it, don't you?
I do, and I'll also have it on the east side of a building, so it gets morning sun up till about 2 o'clock. And once the sun is out and over the tree line to where the direct sun is on that pond, that shade cloth is on it. Once the sun is past and it's starting to get that indirect light to where it's not full blasting sun onto it, then I'll pull the shade cloth off. If I don't do that, it gets overrun with algae. I mean,
Oh
in
yeah,
like overnight.
yeah, yeah.
I fertilize it. I have a soil in it that's fertilized. I used bone meal, blood meal, and I use humic. It's a granular humic acid you can
Yeah.
get online. It's just HUMIC. I use it a little, very, very little of that goes a
Very
very,
much.
very long way if you're going to
Really.
use humic acid. So, yeah,
Right.
your tank will turn black, black, black if you have too much of that humic in there.
Really.
But that's the fertilizer that I used. I was attempting to try it with fertilizer from my quail coop, but there was pine shavings and the quail droppings in there together. Did not make for a good mix of soil. I did attempt that, and I'm not going to do it again.
Now, talking about pine, I've been collecting leaf mulch from
Mm-hmm.
a local creek bed that has pine in it, pine needles in it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've not had any trouble with it at all because number one, the pine needles were dried before they fell off the tree, so the
Mm-hmm.
sap was pulled out of them,
Yeah.
and they've been in the water an entire season, so
Yeah.
they're purged from any kind of creosote.
Yeah, I would definitely say if pine needles were bad for a water system, there wouldn't be any fish in the Colorado River at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, really. It's true. True.
Because there's a lot of pine needles that drip into those or fall into those systems. I mean, I'm sure if a tree gets struck by lightning and a green one falls into the waterway, yeah, it's not going to be the greatest in the world for the fish, but
In that immediate environment. It's amazing how
they've been
quickly,
here for
though,
a while.
running water will purge that out.
Yeah, yeah. It helps when there's running water and get a constant water change from nature.
Erie is saying, what about feeding fish with worms from a compost bin? That's mainly going to be
Hmm.
soldier fly larvae, which is perfect, or
Hmm.
it's going to be red wigglers.
The earthworms. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's going to be night crawlers. Probably you're going to have red wigglers in there, which there have been some researchers who have claimed
You're
that the red
okay.
wiggler is problematic for fish because it has they claim it has a tendency to block the gut. I've fed red wiggler and I've fed it extensively, and I've never had a problem with it.
I've heard that with bloodworms too. Feeding bloodworms to certain fish, the barbs, like I think especially, I think it was frogs. Um, the
The barbs in
barbs
the
on
blood.
their back end will get stuck in their gut. I
Well,
hadn't done
and
any
yeah,
research to validate or
yeah.
back that up, but
I think a
I've
lot of that, frankly, is it's just scare tactics. It's the
yeah.
kind of thing you want to test.
Yeah, I mean, we get. I've got our pond, not my man-made ponds, but we've got a natural pond as well. That's a water runoff, and during season, it's full of water for four to 5 months. And we have all kinds of frogs that are down there, and one of their main sources, besides the vegetation that's in there, and oh, what do you have stuck on your tooth? Sorry about that. Things your dog gets stuck in its mouth.
Oh no.
But there was loads and loads of bloodworms that were in there. So they have to be eating them. They have to be eating them.
Right, right, right.
So, I
Mine,
mean, since I heard that, I haven't messed with it, and I've just been feeding. I feed the frogs bug bites and brine shrimp since then, but they love bug
right.
bites.
Bug bites is a great food. It's amazing. The industry has actually done something smart. They dehydrated bugs.
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
I mix it. I mix bug bites with moringa and feed that to my live bearers. So I have a medium size cluster. The granules about like this, about like the size that size.
Yeah.
It's honeybee pollen. I feed it to my shrimp,
Oh,
but
really?
they're about that size, and I'll stick that in that magic bullet, that blender, with a couple teaspoons of moringa as well, so that way it all gets good and mixed and coated around the bug bite. Okay, it gets kind of powdery, but when you're feeding guppies or fry, molly fry, grow outs, neons, neon tetras, things like that, they're gonna eat all of that up, and they get that great green source from the moringa as well.
Right, right. Erie is feeding tuna. I assume this is water tuna, not oil. Tuna in water, not tuna in oil.
The canned.
Yeah, I
Just
used to
dump the
feed
whole
cat.
can in there.
Yeah, right. I used to feed cat food. I've
Yeah,
had a lot of cat food.
I've heard
I had
some
a
people do that.
friend who raised brine shrimp in 50-gallon drums and fed them dog food vitamin powder.
Oh well, yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people down here that do what is it, aquaponic, aquaculture, aquaponics. So they're like growing um, tilapia and then using the waste from that for their gardens and stuff like that. But it's all
Right,
in one
right, right.
system. They'll. I've seen a lot of those people. Those people, a lot of people that do that use cat food and things like that.
Yep,
Grind up some dog food.
yeah.
I just only ever did it if we were going catfishing. Take cat food and some cheese and everything else sticky
You
and
bet.
stinky that you could find.
Right, right. What else we got here?
I do not sell my
Bloodworms.
mollies.
Stable for 11 native fish. Yeah, exactly. Animals are pretty smart about eating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fish will eat another fish head first. They won't eat it tail first. They'll
Yep.
turn it around to swallow it head first so that its fins don't get caught in their throat.
Yeah, I think in nature the only time any animal eats something tail first or tail end first is if that creature has a very extensively hard or armored skin on them, and going through the tail end is easier for like canines, carnivores, than trying to go through the skin.
Mine time, I
But
already did. It'll show up eventually. What is this? KS Prepper. I went to the local river, pulled up Richardson's pondweed and duckweed, put them in my patio container ponds.
I
Already see
see.
little shrimp and other critters that hitch the rhyme. Yeah, you bet. You bring all kinds of things in.
Make sure it's shrimp and not one of those dragonfly nymphs. They'll trick you. They will lay their eggs in the stem of a plant, and you'll bring a plant in, and be like, "What is this? This looks like some freaky looking shrimp." Wait, it's getting bigger. This isn't a shrimp. It starts looking like something from the
Master Black.
Alien
Yeah,
movie.
you missed the stream, Master Black. We're about winding up here. We got about 10 minutes. Bone meal.
Ant eggs. Ant eggs,
And eggs, you
definitely,
bet.
Craig.
Absolutely. Oh, I'll tell you what else is good is termite eggs
Mm-hmm.
and termites for that matter.
Yeah.
If you can find a termite nest, the eggs and the termites themselves, because the termites aren't like ants. They don't have the sorbic acid.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going
Let
to
me
bite the
see.
belly when they're eating. Oh.
He needed to feel like he had. That was my mouth. The attention, I guess. Yeah, I didn't even know about the termites or the ant eggs or anything like that until I'd seen it. Craig's Catfish Cave had told me about it, and then showed me he had a short of him collecting them out of the bottom of I think it was a planter or a statue or something that they had, and he picked it up and shook it, and all of the eggs just fell out, and he just scooped them right up with a little dustpan.
Nice.
He was able to separate the ants from the larva or the eggs with the dustpan, and walked right in and fed it.
I had a friend who raised dart frogs.
Oh, his Buddha statue.
He fed right. He fed them termites.
Hmm.
He had He had a field out in a swamp area behind his house, and he would pile lumber back there, be able in order to harvest termites.
Yeah. It's smart. I mean, it's really smart doing that. I'm trying to get. I don't know if you saw in the outside section that I have, but there was a lot of duckweed out there. I never had duckweed until probably about 3 weeks ago. I finally got some in,
Oh,
and had been wanting it. It and azola, but I didn't say that on YouTube. Um, to feed the birds. My finch, the quail, that duckweed, azola, things like that.
oh
They
yeah,
they
yeah,
love that stuff.
you bet.
And duckweed, getting some duckweed and letting nature spread it for you for free, as long as there's water available, is a lot cheaper than quail feed.
You bet.
Especially when they're babies and they have to have that really, really small, crumbly stuff that's higher in protein.
That's what people don't realize about their tank. If you have any kind of biological system going in it at all, your
Hmm.
small fish are getting all the food they need from the natural processes, the animals
Hmm.
that are naturally living in that tank. So by bringing in additional material, like food web material, you're providing a very rich food environment for virtually all of the fish in the tank. I mean,
Hmm.
unless it's like the Molly tank with 100 fish in it, you're not going to be
Yeah.
able to feed. You're not going to be able to feed 100 big fish in
I
a
tried. I
50.
tried seeding that
Anything with
tank, and I
clothes,
still try to seed it from time to time, but yeah, it doesn't last long.
yeah, they're at it. They're on it. You'd
Yeah,
have to keep
I
like,
will say, to attest to that though, my sump that I showed you, my Molly Fry end up in that sump, and I don't
yeah,
feed them ever. They
right,
grow out in the sump and live off of focus,
yeah,
and live off of just what's down in that sump. All of the muck and mayhem that's down there, they eat it.
really,
Yep. I learned that totally by accident too, because I didn't even realize that there was any fish down there for a long time. Then I looked down in there one day, and there was almost a full size, well, not almost full size, but a 2.5 inch long molly, or a few 2.5 inch long mollies down there. It's like, where did these come from? How did y'all survive? Because they had to be in there for a couple of months, hiding from me.
well,
If
and that's the nature of any kind of any kind of system that is allowed to mature. I mean, if you're going in there every week and you're scrubbing it down, you're
hmm
flushing it out and disinfecting it, you're not going to be able to do it. It won't work.
Yeah, cleaning out your bowls like you see people doing on Instagram is not actually a thing. Or
Yeah,
cleaning
it's
out
not.
your bowls with dish soap and stuff like that. Those
Yeah,
videos, yeah.
it's the aquarium is not a toilet, and it should not be treated as a toilet. There are too many fish keepers who
Hmm.
honestly believe their aquarium is will become foul and stinky if they don't get in there and clean it all the time. And the reality is they're right because they're overfeeding to such a
Hmm.
degree that they're fouling the tank. So they
Oh yeah.
really do have to go in and scrub and flush and disinfect.
Especially if they're in there throwing handfuls of crummy, run-of-the-mill flake food from
Two and three
X
times a day,
brand,
4
big
and 5
box
times
name.
a day. Yeah, right, right.
Yeah. Now I do water changes. I know there's a lot of people that run natural systems that don't do water changes. I do water changes, not all the time and not regularly, but if it's a tank that like this one that I'm really trying to get these plants to grow and grow fast and shoot up and show it off, the plants really do like those water changes. So if I do a water change, and there's not even any fish in that, so So if I do a water
Yeah,
change,
if you're
usually
a
that's
kitchen, you wouldn't need to.
yeah, that's all really the only reason I do a water change is for plants, and that's about it. The plants enjoy it more than the fish do.
To put some fish in it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've probably said it 3 times on the stream already that I'm not sure what fish I'm wanting to put in there. I've got so many in mind that I
Yeah,
want
I've
to
got
do, but
exactly this. I've been sitting on that now for almost a year, trying to figure out what I want. And I finally ordered some stuff. I wrote down and ordered some stuff from Pebbling Creek and
mhm.
one or two other guys in order to get. I got some. Um,
Did you ever contact Greg? Greg Sage?
I don't about what.
Oh, you were asking me one day about rare or being able to find
No,
more
I
of
did
the
not.
rare species or care species.
Yeah, I did not. I need to do that.
He's got what I want right now for sure.
Ah,
The those Goodeids, the
the goody eye.
Xenotoka
Yeah.
San Marcos ones. Yeah,
I'm not goody. Goody eye don't turn me on. There are some new ones though that are pretty nice. I got to admit,
yeah.
pretty good looking fish. I had goody eye 20 years ago
Oh wow,
before they were really a thing. Back when they were a thing for a very few people,
the
and it was
corgi
a
is
club
number.
thing really. You
Yeah,
know, some of the better clubs 20 years ago were into it. That's how it really took hold. Well, we're running out of time here, Tommy. We've been here 2 hours. We did good.
we've been here longer than that. They missed
I know
out.
we have. That's right. Half an hour longer.
I'll have to go back and start from the beginning to catch everything.
Emmanuel wants to know how often we feed these nature style tanks. Once you get it going, then you replace the nutrient base, which is
Hmm.
the leaves. And you do that about once a month.
Come here.
If I'm feeding any kind of synthetic food, it'll be no more than twice a week.
Yeah,
And that's with nothing else going on.
this tank right here, the 29 gallon, is the one that I was really working on seeding heavily so that I would not have to feed it as much. And if I go on vacation, I can leave it alone for a week and not have to worry about it. There's a lot, I mean, I say there's a lot of fish in there. There's about almost 2 dozen neon tetras, about half a dozen glass cats, and that's really it as far as fish goes. But I mean,
They could,
they put a hurt on some Daphnia and some copepods. They eat them up quick. I mean, I'd throw in a net full, and they would last for probably about 3 or 4 days, and then I'd stop seeing them. But every now and then, I'll come out here at night, and they'll just be all over the tank.
it doesn't
So
mean they're not there. That's right.
yeah. So I'm
They
I'm
ain't
curious as to how long it could actually go at this point with having that
probably
much in there.
indefinitely.
It'd be nice.
Probably indefinitely, yeah.
Would be good to get it to that point. Chip, not everybody in the world wants to listen to you bark.
I think you're probably there. Well, Tommy, thank you. It's good to be with you.
It was wonderful being here. It was an honor.
You bet.
Like I said, I'd been really looking forward to doing this for a long time.
Well, I'm glad we finally got to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Nice to have you all with us. Where are we at? We hit about 100, I think, tonight. That's not bad. 100's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was watching Lucas the other night. He was at about 100,
Mm-hmm.
a little better. So we're in good shape. We're doing all right. I am going to try to get Lucas and Alex together and see if we can't get a party going. So we'll
That's what it'll
shoot.
be.
Yeah, we'll shoot for that. That'd be great fun. So take care. God bless you all. Nice to be with you, and thanks again, Tommy, for coming up. I
Thank
love
you.
Chip. Great dog. Bye, all.